Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie, and if you're new here, hi, hello. Today's video, I've been seeing this go around. I saw it more in June and now it's July, but that's okay. You know how I am. We know! Takes a while to get on things, but I saw a couple booktubers that I follow do their favorite romance book that they read from like each month of the year. So I'm like, I think I can do this. I think I've read a romance. I like at the beginning of the year, it was more thrillers, but like from March on, it was all romances. So I'm like, I think I can do this. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna start with January, work our way up to June. I was gonna include July, but honestly, I have read so many good books in July that I'm just gonna have to do like a separate July wrap up, which is, who am I? Because normally I do it like every other month. But I think I have enough that I can talk about. But I just couldn't pick just one for July. So I'm only going up till June. So let's just get into the books because we all know how much I like to talk. So let's go. So for my January pick, I chose The Simple Wild by K.A. Tucker. I have these books. I just don't feel like going up and getting them. So I'm putting the picture in. I hope you all understand the laziness, okay? So in January, I started off the year with thrillers. I read 2 thrillers, and then I finished the month off with 2 romances. But we're not here to talk about thrillers. So, The Simple Wild. The Simple Wild, if you do not know, is a series by K.A. Tucker based in small town Alaska. So this is a small town romance. In it, you're following Kala, who goes to Alaska to spend time with the father that she's never known. He owns like a bush pilot. He is a bush pilot, but he owns like a company. And when she gets there, his like right-hand man named Jonah comes to pick her up. And Jonah just automatically is grumpy towards her. He thinks that there's no way in heck she's going to make it in the wilderness. And she's like, you know what, buddy? I'm going to show you that I can. I'm going to prove to you that I can. And I just really enjoyed this. I loved seeing like her develop through the story, like coming into her own, kind of just like learning to love where her father's from. Her relationship with her father, getting to know him, her relationship with Jonah, which is like the main point in the story. I love some Jonah because he's grumpy, but only to her. Like he's really nice to everybody else, but he just, when he met her, he had like this pre-assumed notion that she was going to be Miss Priss and not be able to handle herself in the wilderness. And when he started to realize that, hey, she's actually different, you know, he let his guard down. It was great. I loved it. I have not finished the series, but that's nothing new on this channel. We all know. But I do have book 2, and I think I have the novella. I just need the book in the new series or the spin-off series, but I'll get to it eventually. However, so for January, that was like my first kind of like intro back into like starting off the year with romance. And I think it did a good job. It's, you know, it's spicy, but it's just enough spice. So it's, and there's a plot. So it's not just like all spice, because like sometimes I can do with just some spice. Like if it's just smut, that's fine and I can do that.
Well, but that's because I'm a whore, so, you know.
But sometimes I do need like some plot to like keep me invested. So, but for that one, it was a good start off to the year. I am glad that I did that one. Okay, so for February's pick, I picked Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon. Okay, look, I could not pick this. And if you haven't read the Ice Planet Barbarians, what it essentially is, it's alien romance. It's not even alien romance, it's just alien smut. You know, you just go in, you're going in for a good time. You're not going in for a long time. You're not going in for like a thoughtful time. You're going in for a good time. If you want to read about some blue aliens or barbarians, as they're called, with some long blue tongues that are like ripple, you know, you want to do it. Don't let me stop you. In fact, I encourage it. We encourage diversity here. So if you want to do some aliens, go do some aliens. But yes, let me tell you a little bit about it if you haven't read it. It's a series. There's so many in the series. I've only read book 1. Will I continue? I don't know. Maybe. But this one is following, and I can't remember the girl's name, but she gets abducted by another group of aliens and gets put into the spaceship with all these other women. And something happens on the spaceship, and those aliens drop them down into like an ice planet to, I don't know, to die, to fix the ship, to come back for them. I don't know. But the women are all like cold, starving, and she's like, I got to do something. We can't just stay here. So she ventures out of the spaceship and meets Victor Vecnal. It's not Vecna, because that's Stranger Things. I'm pretty sure it starts with a V. I don't know. But she meets him, and his, like, aura, like, purrs when she's around, because little does she know, she's actually his soulmate. Okay, and they got a language barrier, so they can't really speak with words. So they speak with their bodies and their mouths and their tongues. So that's how they communicate for a while. And that's basically it. That's the book. So yeah, if you want to just go in for a good time, have at it. In March, I started the Brutal Birthright series by Sophie Lark, and I fell in love. Have I finished the series? God, stop looking at me. I haven't. But I've read the first 2 books, but we're only going to be talking about the first book. The first book is Brutal Prince, and we are following Callum and Ada, and they are 2 children from opposing families. Like, their families don't get along in, like, the mafia world. And something happens at the beginning where they get into a big fight, and the fathers of the families get together and be like, you 2 are going to fix this. And the only way that this is going to get fixed is for you 2 to get married. So that's what happens. They force Ada and Cal to get married, and it's just hijinks. It's hijinks, it's pranks. I loved this story. Some people don't like this one and they go into the second one first. This was my favorite so far, out of all of them that I've read, which is 2, but that's beside the point. But I enjoyed Ada because she's her own woman. She's not going to take things lying down. She's feisty, fiery. And the best part, oh my gosh. Like, one of the scenes that live rent-free in my head is the wedding scene. So if you read it, but it just cracks me up every single time I think about it. But Cal is very touch her and die vibes after a while, because, as things get going, forced proximity, you're together, you're going to fall for each other. It's just the rules of life, and I don't make the rules, I just follow them. So there you go. But I highly enjoyed this one. Book 2 is just as good, but this one just has a special place in my heart. Okay, the next book is a little, what's the word I'm looking for? Controversial. Thank you. In the back. A little controversial, because some people really loved this duet, some people really hated it. I happen to be one who really loved it. So in April, I read The Confidence of Wildflowers and The Resurrection of Wildflowers by Michaelia Smeltzer. I really can never pronounce her first name. So in this duet, you are following Salem and Thayer. They are neighbors, and there is an age gap. Salem is 18, Thayer is 31, about to be 32. And he needs a nanny for his son. So he hires Salem. But, like, the nannying, if that's a word, the job, it's like is not in the forefront of the story. Like, that's not the story. The story is them kind of learning about each other and kind of forming, like, a romance, a relationship. There are some trigger warnings for this book. Don't mind the talking. I know some people don't like trigger warnings because it spoils the book, but in this case, with what they are, I think it's important that going in. There is death of a loved one on page, and there is mention of childhood sexual abuse. So be aware of that before you would go in to read the book, but I still really loved it. And I don't care what anybody says. I love her writing. I love the books. I love the spice. I loved everything. And I'm definitely going to continue with more of her books. I just haven't really decided when, but I'm definitely going to. In May, I read Hooked by Emily McIntyre, and that was my favorite romance of the month. It is a dark romance. It is #1 in her Never After series, which is basically taking our favorite villains that we know and love and giving them an HEA, which everyone deserves a little HEA. So in this story, you're following James, aka Hook, and in this, he knows Peter Pan from his childhood. Peter Pan's not a very nice guy, and his family ends up dying by the hands of Pan, and he goes to live with his uncle, who's also a very, very bad guy. So he's very traumatizing to James. He gets, like, under the foot of, like, he's not like a mafia, but it's like a crime lord, I guess. Maybe you could say that, because like they sell pixie dust and everything like that. So he works his way up the ranks with there, and he owns like different things in the city. Well, Peter Pan moves back to town. Is his name Peter Pan? I know it's Peter, but I don't think it's Pan. But he moves back into town, and he's like, I want revenge for what happened when I was younger, and the best thing to do is to get with Pan's daughter, Wendy. So that's what happens. He seduces Wendy, and they get together, but little does he know, Wendy is not the goody-goody that he's thinking she's going to be. She can hold her own. She likes to do things in the bedroom. You know, a little hand necklace type action, things like that. She enjoys things like that. And the best part of this book is at the end. And there's a quote where he's talking to her, and I can't remember the quote, and I should have wrote it down, but you know. And he's saying things like, she's like, you're gonna burn the world down or whatever. And he's like, no. He's like, you're gonna be the queen. I'm gonna hand you the match and watch the world burn at your feet. And I'm like, yes, yes you are. We love a queen. We love a man who supports a queen. So I personally really enjoyed that book. And I need to finish the series. I need to finish it because like she just announced the next book in the series, and I'm pretty sure it's Jasmine. So I need to read it. And then in June, I read, like I've been only reading romances. So like April, May, June, it was hard to pick a favorite. But I guess for June, I'm going to go with It Ain't Me, Babe by Tilly Cole. This is the first in the Hades Handman series, which is about a motorcycle club. And I absolutely loved this book. It's very dark. Just go in knowing that it's a dark book. There are many triggers. So look up trigger warnings because I don't feel like going through them all right now. But just know that it's a dark romance. You're following Salome and River. And River is the president of the motorcycle club. And Salome just escaped a religious cult. And so she's traumatized. Like it's traumatizing what she went through as a child up until when she left. And you do get flashbacks. So just be warned about that. It's dark, but I loved it. I loved the character development of her from the start to the finish. I mean, it was just so good. So good. So if you haven't read it and you're looking for a dark romance to read, start with that one and and then continue with the series. I haven't yet, but I plan on reading the second one in August. I just have to space it out because it's a little dark. And I know the second book is following another girl because at the end of the first book, they go and rescue some people, bring them back. So I know like the next books are about them, but that's beside the point. We're not here for that. But those are my books from January to June that I just really were my favorites. I could probably pick more, but these are like the standouts, the ones that I am so happy that I forced myself to read. 'Cause sometimes it is forcing. Let's not beat around the bush. Sometimes I'm like, you know what? I don't want to read it. I've talked about this, like apprehension of reading like books that are really hyped because I'm afraid I'm not going to like them. They're not going to live up to the hype. So sometimes I do have to force myself to actually finish it, read it. But, you know, let me know down below if you've read these, or let me know what your favorites of the year have been so far. I would love to know. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. If you're new and would like to join the family, I would love to have you. All my social media is linked down below if you want to follow me on there. But I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys. Don't start talking downstairs. Don't do it. Don't do it. I knew it. Why do you always talk so loud? Are we gone? Okay. Gotta film while they're gone. Good enough.